Welcome, Swati. Thank you so much for being part of this podcast. So, looking forward for this conversation.
Thank you so much for inviting.
So, Swati, now, I've been looking for a topic where I need a person who can talk about conscious parenting. Now, this has been a very hot topic these days. And also considering the awareness on mental health that is happening today. And when people do various kind of therapies, they talk about inner child wound, something went wrong with the parenting. And then on other hand, you will see that, oh, my mother did it, my father did it, my father was not there, or my mother was not there, because of that I have to deal with so much problems with me. And then this generation is becoming more aware of understanding how important parenting is, how that will, on one hand, it will reduce the therapy cost for the children in future if you do it right. But on the other hand, you also read nobody had the perfect childhood. Everybody goes through one way or the other. And you also hear the stories when children had the perfect childhood, they grow up very weak. This is another story. And then when children had the toughest childhood, they grow up very strong. And sometimes it can have the reverse effects also.
Yeah.
And then you have the astrology part coming into their destiny. There's
Mm.
nothing that this can happen or that can happen.
Mm.
But now let's come to what extent can we learn about parenting and how this can enforce the child's future, and what according to you, with your awareness, with your knowledge, is conscious parenting?
Well, a lot of questions in that. Um, for me personally, my journey started towards creating awareness on gentle and respectful parenting practices, lactation, postpartum, mental health, even sexuality health for that matter. Around 6 to 8 months after my child's birth.
Hmm.
During that time, I was part of a lot of Facebook groups,
Hmm.
support groups, and that opened my world tremendously.
Hmm.
I didn't know so many issues existed. So many people had the same kind of questions I had. And I started answering a lot of people's questions because I was very curious to learn. So I'll go read, research, and then write my answers on groups. And all of that used to happen. And during that time, my practice as a lactation consultant also had begun. So I was learning a lot from my own experiences as a um, mother and also from my community. So we had
Mhm.
a very strong parenting community in my um, hometown, Coimbatore, and you get to see different kinds of families
Mhm.
with single parents or families where grandparents are actively involved, families where separation or divorce is ongoing, and so many different dynamics.
Mhm.
And that is where a lot of learning happened. um, I remember the first time I came across a post on gentle parenting, which as a concept I never knew anything about. So I was of the opinion that I will be the bad cop
Mhm.
and my husband will be the good cop,
Hmm.
because I have been scolded and hit and all as a child, and everybody I knew went through that kind of a parenting, especially in the Indian or Asian context. And I was not aware of what issues it brought up in me, though I had a mental health background. Yes, certain things, yes, I was aware, but I didn't know the depth of it.
Hmm.
So I came across this post on a Facebook group where this parent has shared that a child broke a flower vase or something,
Mhm.
and as it lay shattered on the floor, the mother, who was observing the scene, she lost her temper and she was about to whack the child, but she was also scared of the glass shards, hurting the child. So before doing anything, hitting or scolding, whatever, she asked the child to go get a stick so that she could hit him with it.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, she thought she'll clean the glass shards, and she started to clean, muttering and mumbling to herself. And then the child was not seen for a while. After around 10-15 minutes, the boy walks in with no stick in his hand. But in that 10-15 minutes, the mother's anger just went away.
Mhm.
And she was like, "Where were you? What were you doing?" And the boy says, "Amma, I didn't get a stick. I got a stone. You can throw this at me."
Oh my God.
And this literally, it changed my perspective towards parenting, because I then thought, okay, my goodness, I have to start seeing things from the child's perspective.
Mhm.
I can't go around telling I am angry, so I'll do whatever. I am irritated, so I'll do whatever. What is the child feeling at that point of time? Because even in psychology, though we learn basics of child development and all, unless you have a like human child in front of you, you don't realize certain things. And that's when I started reading more about gentle parenting and how to talk so kids will listen is a very famous book on
Mhm.
this topic, and that book again changed my life. So yeah, so this is how I entered into the field of creating awareness on gentle and respectful parenting practices. So conscious parenting, according to me, is being a conscious human being at the end of
Mhm.
the end of the day, being mindful about what you're doing, what you're saying, how you're behaving on the dining table,
Mm.
including that, for example, the moment a child becomes 6 months old, parent wants to give them food. And during that time, in a lot of Indian families, we observe a lot of force feeding, a lot of distraction feeding. But what does it do through the child? The child gets disconnected from their own body. They are unable to feel their hunger cues. They are unable to feel fullness.
Mhm.
And over a period of time, we do create a lot of people who are unable to stop when they're supposed to stop eating. People who are unable to chew food because they continue eating pureed and mashed food for a very long time.
Mhm.
Introduction of finger foods happen very late, or they are made to eat by comparison. Look at your brother, how he is eating, or by threatening, if you don't eat, then I won't get you, chocolate or whatever, or if you eat, I'll get you a chocolate. Bribing, literally begging. A lot of mothers beg their children to eat. Please eat, otherwise grandmom will scold at me, and a lot of
Or God will do
conditions.
something
God,
bad.
yeah. Or the dog will catch you, and whatever. So a lot of manipulation, a lot of conditioning, so many things happen during that time. And children want to please the caregiver.
Hmm.
So just to see a smile on the mom's face, they might finish whatever is there on the plate. And again, a lot of mealtime struggles, crying and screaming and yelling, and Amma's face getting all angry and frustrated and stressed. This is what the child sees.
Mhm.
Now imagine going through this scenario 3-4 times a day, every single day, for many, many years. And then you have all these problems. My child is not eating by themselves. My child doesn't eat a wide variety of foods. My child is aversive to certain kind of textures, certain kinds of colors. They're only eating everything only if it's white in color, this, that. They're sitting there for a long time, not even finishing what's on the plate, and that's
Mhm.
irritating me. And so many problems for a simple thing like mealtime.
Mhm.
So it's conscious parenting would be being mindful about meal times. What is
Mhm.
happening in a child's body when it's sitting down to eat? Is it really hungry? Can it eat by itself? Have I shown the child how to eat by itself? Which means, is the child even eating with the family? A lot
Mhm.
of children are isolated when they're eating. They don't sit and eat with the family. So children learn through observation.
Hmm.
So simple things like this, being mindful about every little thing that you do. I think that is what is mindful or conscious parenting.
Eh, When I was growing up, I had a lot of professors, teachers who, in English there is this statement: "Spare the rod and
Mhm.
you spare the child,"
Mm.
something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And suddenly, when you see children behaving in particular manner, they would say, "That's because your mother didn't give you one tight slap." These are the words that
Yeah, yeah.
really come. And especially when I explain certain ways the parenting is done in, like we say, in India and Asian countries, and in case if they are in some Scandinavian country, I think the jails would be overflowed
Yeah, yeah.
with the kind of things that has been
Yeah.
approached. But still, there is this debate: what is the approach, what is the way to understand? Now, let's say there is a lot of tantrums happening with the
Mhm.
child.
Mhm.
The child is showing tantrums. Yes, in order to eat, the child, the ones they eat some candies or sweets,
Mm.
then they could start showing tantrums.
Yeah.
Like, I want the candy. Now, without that candy, that child also learns to manipulate the surrounding, because
Mm, mm.
he or she knows that when I do the tantrums, they
Yeah.
somehow will bend things for me.
Yeah.
So, in these conditions, so would you say that's a result of some way of, unnatural ways of parenting, or would you say in such situations, you can really talk them out of it?
Um, well, I think every child, no matter what kind of parenting is being followed, children do throw tantrums.
Mm.
They
I think even
test.
adults do
Ah,
that.
absolutely. Our parents, in-laws, everybody
Hmm.
threw tantrums. No, 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 you can't do this. You can't marry the person that you found, this, that, and all. It
Hmm.
keeps happening. Everything is a tantrum. So children through tantrum, they test our boundaries. They test their own boundaries. They want to know what is okay and what is not okay. So it's very important that the parent establishes certain boundaries. Um, when a tantrum happens, a parent or an immediate caregiver, even if it's a teacher or nanny, whoever it is, they need to understand that the brain of a child is not equipped to handle emotions.
Hmm.
They cannot handle, they do not know what is emotional regulation. So even adults struggle with it,
Yeah,
I'm
so many
sure. Yeah.
people.
So we need to know that we have majorly three parts to the brain. We have a new brain, a neocortex, we have a limbic system, and we have a primitive brain all inside us. And the primitive brain is very much there in the baby, because the baby knows only basic things for survival.
Hmm.
They know that if I cry, somebody will come and pick me, or if a certain kind of cry will give me food,
Hmm.
or I need to poop, pee, etc. So that much only that brain knows. And the limbic system, which is above the basic brain, that system deals with the emotions.
Hmm.
And that is not developed fully at birth anyway. Its development happens between 0 and 8.
Hmm.
So that's why a lot of literature will tell us that 0 to 7 is very important, 0 to 7 is very crucial, all basic things the child will understand during that time, etc., etc. So during that time, 0 to 7, the limbic system is just developing. It is just developing. So the child doesn't know the difference between angry, frustrated, irritated, etc., etc. All kinds of emotions. No, they don't know what each means and how I should handle each of these
Hmm.
emotions. And the new brain will start developing only after age 6,
Hmm.
the logical part of the brain. So the child doesn't know it's because Amma asked me not to go there that I fell down.
Hmm.
That is a logical concept. They don't understand that. They were just running around, they fell down. But when the parent says logical reasoning, like, I asked you not to go there, no, that's why you fell down, right? How many times I've been telling you this, that, blah, blah, blah. The child will not understand those logical explanations.
Hmm.
Because when the limbic system is overwhelmed with a certain emotion, let's say the child is crying or screaming, or as you said, throwing a tantrum, that emotional flood will go fill up the entire brain,
Hmm.
and it'll fill up the logical brain also. So at that point of time, when the adult says some logic, that'll sound like jibber jabber to the
Hmm.
child. They won't understand it. So what is recommended during those kind of situations is to listen.
Hmm.
And listening is not with the ears alone. With the heart also, we have to listen. Carefully listen to what the child has to say, which is crying, screaming, yelling, whatever. So the adult, the caregiver, has to be comfortable with the child crying, which in itself is very, very uncomfortable for us as Indians, as Asians, or anybody for that matter. It's very uncomfortable for us to see a child cry.
Hmm.
As immediately people at home will be like, oh my God, do something to shut that child up.
Hmm.
Give them a chocolate or take them around, whatever.
It's like a leaking water. Suddenly, it needs to be plugged.
Yeah, they should just stop crying. But that will emotionally numb the child.
Hmm.
We need to allow the child to process those emotions, bring it out through crying, screaming, whatever they want to do. But we need to establish some safe boundaries also. You can't hit. So we need to hold their hands firmly so that they can't hit. Again, telling them you can't hit, they might not understand.
Hmm.
We have to physically restrain them. No, baby, you can't hit Amma. It's hurting. But I will sit with you. Please cry and finish.
Hmm.
Amma will be here. So there the child learns secure attachment.
Hmm.
I can be myself and somebody will accept me for who I am. We don't have to put up a certain behavior for a certain person to accept us,
Hmm.
which is a huge learning that's going to help the child forever in his or her life. Right?
Hmm.
So the parent listens to the tantrum, allow it to finish, and then when they talk, the child will understand.
Hmm.
Baby, I told you not to take that plate. No, it's a ceramic plate. No, next time, let's be careful. Things like that can be explained. So, and some children are okay to be hugged during the time. Some children don't want to be hugged. They can be okay with just talking, what works with the child. But that duration, no, that's very difficult for the parent to handle,
Hmm.
because it can be 1 hour of crying sometimes, 45 minutes of crying.
Can be a real emotional roller coaster for the parent
Yeah,
also.
yeah. Because let's say it's happening in a public place.
Oh, that makes it even worse.
It's happening in a supermarket or in a playground. Parent gets totally frustrated
The whole
because
world will be looking
because
at them.
everybody is watching now. Everybody is judging me. And that is where I would say a good parenting community will help. Let's say everybody in the community understands this concept. Nobody will judge the parent, because no parent wants the child to cry. Right? The child is crying, which is a normal part of human development. So how is a parent going to support the child? How is a community going to support the child? So, when I have seen mothers go through this in parks and playgrounds, I've just gone and I've just sat next to her while she consoles the child. And even then I see these mothers getting irritated. Can you just stop crying? So many people are watching all that. I'm like, it's okay, fine, it's okay. Let the child cry, it's fine. I'm fine. No, but everybody's watching. It's okay, it's fine. Sometimes a parent also needs a bit of mothering. Right, so these kind of concepts, I think if parents, teachers and all learn, we won't judge tantrums and meltdowns a lot. And one more thing is that's very important here is we are very comfortable with one spectrum of emotions. Let's say the child is laughing and getting excited and all in fun mode, means we are okay to let those emotions out. It's the other end of the spectrum that we are uncomfortable with, which means it's our own personal journey also as a parent. How was I treated as a child that through tantrum? How were my cries evaluated? Was I asked to shut up? Was I beaten? So you need to ask these questions to yourself also during your parenting journey.
So it's more like parenting is also like a personal healing that happens.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Like today, when we talk about mental health awareness, one of the foundations that we talk about is, we are constantly told you should not be sad, you should not cry, you should not be angry, you should not be frustrated. There is this utopian idea that we should always be happy all the time, like how some Disney movies tell you, happily ever after. And I think that also contributed to this idea. Even like when you see in Ayurveda, it is mentioned when people suppress their tears, it can lead to a lot of medical conditions, including headaches, migraine. Like when you suppress your tears, it creates a lot of blocks internally. And the same thing when a child is constantly told, why are you crying? Why are you doing this? Now here, when you look at a parent's consciousness at that time, nobody is taught how to parent. I think we just do it with our instincts and with our current transitional, with how our evolution has happened now today. I think parenting is a much more bigger challenge considering people have mobiles. Now, I need to talk about two things. One is how do you educate parents when it comes to children's addictions with phone, and also how do you train them to eat healthier? And we humans, adults, are also challenged with eating problems, emotional eating. Now, I think as a children, when you put this right, it goes a long way in helping them save a lot of time in future.
Very true. Yeah.
So one, with the mobile phones, how do you recommend? Some children are, we adults are addicted to mobile phones, so we can't blame them. But how do you regulate that with children?
Major health organizations have come up with statements where they say no screens before 18 months, no screens before 2 years, or screens should be only limited to talking to a family member who's probably settled somewhere abroad. That sort of screen is okay. And later on, maybe 20-30 minutes of some cartoon that is not too overstimulating, and then slowly progress to a half an hour of a cartoon again that's not too overstimulating or mildly educational, things like that. But the best thing is not to have it around it fully. No TV, no phones. Unfortunately, that's not the situation. So what is the best that we can do in our circumstance? We need to just do that. For example, not giving the phone to the child just because there's a tantrum. Like I told you now, because the parent or the immediate caregiver do not know this whole simple concept of brain development, they give in to those tantrums. Oh, okay, fine, let me just stop the cry, at least for some time they will shut up now. Yeah. Or I need to get a work done. And I'm in a nuclear family. In half an hour, I can get dinner ready on the table. During that half an hour, I need to do something with this child. So giving the child the phone. Again, mindfully, consciously, if we can do it, and let's say remaining part of the day, the child didn't get too much phone. Only maybe another half an hour. Then that's better, no? Let's say the child already had 2-3 hours of phone. Then you can minimize this extra half an hour somehow. Or even if you do that extra half an hour, you need to make peace with yourself. You need to tell yourself that you have done your best.
Hmm.
And children again watching parents use phone. That is what makes them want to use, because for us at least, me, um, late 80s born. So for me, phone is a luxury.
Hmm.
It's not a part of life. Of course, now it's become part of life, but without that also I've seen life. But for these children that are growing up now, for them phone is part and parcel of life. So it's an extension of my mother's or father's hands, in
Yeah,
fact.
yeah.
So what is wrong in me keeping it for some time? So at home, let's say the child is not there, you use the phone, or when the child is there, minimize usage. That's the best that we can do.
Hmm.
Our own conscious living will help the child also live consciously.
And they are imitators,
Yeah,
not.
that's all. They want to imitate adult life.
Hmm.
Yeah. So for screens and all, this is what we usually ask parents to do. Minimize as much as possible. Be very
Hmm.
conscious and mindful when the child is around you. Because today, if you're eating food and then watching phone parallelly, tomorrow when your child becomes a teenager, with what face will you ask the child not to have the phone with them?
Hmm.
Because that's what they have seen. So we cannot preach something and then, practice something else. So as a parent, if you can be mindful enough in your screen related activities, I
Hmm.
think that's the best thing that we can do. And with regard to meal times, again, like I told you, bribing, threatening, comparing, shaming, all
Hmm.
these things, if we can avoid, and we can allow the child to explore different textures and colors and consistencies right from a very early age, and give them a lot of variety for their brain to,
Understand.
understand, that'll
Explore. Yeah.
that'll go a long way. And allow the child to eat when it's hungry.
Hmm.
So when there are hunger cues, hunger signals, then when we offer food, that is the best. Because a little child won't have breakfast, lunch, dinner kind of a pattern in their life. For that pattern to develop, they might have to get into school going age.
Hmm.
So that there is a proper rhythm and a routine. Until then, okay, they're breastfeeding. Okay, after an hour or two, they need solid foods. Okay, they're hungry. Okay, let me give something. And when you're offering that solid food also, how much of stress do you have? Will the child eat fully? I've cooked so much, I need to make them finish the
Hmm.
plate. Your stress will get translated onto the child. So you as a parent, if you can be chill about it, whatever it is, the child, let it eat. Anyway, it is on breastfeeds, or in some cases on formula. Remaining only I need to give, no.
Hmm.
So if again, one more thing I've observed in my classes is that parents don't realize how big the stomach of the child is.
Hmm.
Stomach is just the size of a closed fist.
Yes.
But when I tell them this is a stomach size, no, they get really shocked, because they would have been imagining the entire abdomen as stomach.
Yeah, yeah. That's how they think.
Yeah. So they cook like in a big
Bowl.
bowl, and they expect the child to eat all of it. But then when they come with a complaint telling, Swati ma'am, my child ate only like 4 tablespoons. I'm like, babe, the stomach itself is only 4 tablespoons. And then, oh, okay, fine. Then my child is eating fine. So these subconscious programming, when you see an ad and there's a bowl full of food in it, and the mother is feeding that bowl full of food to the child, and the child looks all happy and all that. No, we get that as an expectation.
Of a healthy child.
Huh. And so simple things like stomach size, or simple things like telling them that a healthy child means a lean child.
Hmm.
It is not that a child that has a big tummy, or a child that is lethargic is not healthy. A active child, lean child is healthy. When somebody tells it to them, no, they feel such a lot of relief.
Hmm.
And one more thing is our children seeing others eating. So it's very, very important that we allow children to be part of meal times,
Hmm.
so that they can observe amma, appa, tata, pati, everybody eating. And they are observing little things. Are we eating the curry leaves?
Hmm.
Are we keeping the waste on one side? Are we cleaning up the entire plate? All these things they're observing. Are we drinking water in between meals? Are we drinking water after meals? So every little thing they're observing. So when they're part of family meals itself, a lot of children eat very well.
Hmm.
And of course, absolutely no screen time between meals. Instruct other family members also to refrain from using screens.
Hmm.
Yeah, so these basic things. And I think parents can explore a concept called baby-led weaning, which is nothing but allowing the child to eat by itself, and introducing finger foods as early as possible, soft finger foods. And
For example.
steamed carrots,
Hmm.
small pieces of
Yeah.
steamed carrots, and or steamed apples, Or even rice for that matter, if you can make it like little sticky and the child can just grab the rice in its hands, let's say rice with curd or rice with dal or something, and the child is grabbing and then eating by making a lot of mess. So allowing the child to make a lot of mess, and gradually the child learning, oh my god, I shouldn't make mess because none of the others are making mess. Or gradually the child understands, okay, I'm eating on this tray table, and look at amma or papa, they're having a small plate in their on the table, and they are not eating beyond that plate. So the child is learning boundaries. Oh, this is my limit, this is where I
Understood.
need
Yeah.
to eat, this is where I need to bring, not here, not there. Or in between, the child is throwing, playing with the food, allow that to happen. Because all that, no, the child is learning something or the other, some physics, chemistry and all is happening during that time. And let's say they're noodles, they're stretching and they're breaking.
They're
So many.
exploring.
Yeah, because a lot of adults today, they have these texture aversions and all. They cannot handle certain kinds of gooey textures. That's maybe because they were not accustomed to it from a very young age. Sometimes sensory aversions, certain kinds of bhindi and this lady's finger and all, some people cannot take, and because they would not have been used to that kind of a
Exposed.
texture. Yeah, because a lot of um 80s and 90s parents, especially because of the introduction of ready-made baby foods like okay, I don't want to tell the names, but you know what I'm talking about. Those foods, and that being given for a very long time, um, prevents a child from learning how to chew. So they need to be introduced to finger foods, chewable foods, at least from age 1, so that when their teeth erupts, they know what to do with the mouth, they know what to do with the teeth, and they won't simply swallow. And today, a lot of adults, that's what they're doing. They're just swallowing. They're not taking enough time to chew foods.
Yeah.
So if we chew food and eat itself, we won't eat that much.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these young associations that we get during our infancy, toddlerhood, preschooler days will come a really long way. Today, no, if we're feeling upset, we want to go eat. A lot of adults have become emotional eaters. Yes, they don't know to eat for hunger. They don't know hunger. They don't even realize whether it's hunger or thirst. So these kind of things can be avoided if we can look into it at a very early.
And at the same time, like as you said, we should train the children to eat. I mean, kids to eat when they feel hungry. But at the same time, there's another school of thought. I don't know if it's a school of thought, but you will see many parents like forcing the children. You should eat, and you could see, and the child is like crying, and another putting tantrums. I don't want the food, but then sometimes the mother will come and keep a phone in front. If you eat, I'll keep the phone, and then the phone is the one that is like another stepmother, and the child eats. So what is the side effect, or let's say according to you, what will be the bad thing if we force the child and make them force and eat? Is it like what is the logic behind not doing that, or is it right thing to do, or is it not bad, and what is the logic behind that?
Well, as a community, due to this 14 years of education that we have received, mainstream school education that we have received, we've all grown up thinking we only have 5 senses. We have more than 5 senses. So 5 senses that we know are extroception. It's outside senses. Then we have interoception. We have proprioception also. Interoception is what the body is trying to tell us from inside. So lungs are communicating to the body, heart is communicating to the body, the vagus nerve is communicating to the body, the fascia, the connective tissue is communicating to the body. So many types of communications happening from inside. But are we aware of that level of communication? Are we aware of those little nuances that the body is trying to tell us about? And one of it is hunger. So it's a very subtle response that the body will give us, and if we are really in tune with the body only, we'll be able to feel it. When actually hunger starts and when we are actually eating might be very, very different timings. Or a lot of us might be used to eating only at a certain time. Even if on that particular day we don't feel hungry during the time also, we anyway go and eat, go and stuff ourselves sometimes. So for a child, that basic instinct of okay, I'm hungry, that has anyway developed, and it is making the child breastfeed or bottle feed, whatever the parent is used to. Now, let's say the child is breastfeeding, the child is showing hunger cues, Amma is putting the child onto the breast, the child knows how to drink its milk, and it also knows feeling of satiety or fullness. When it's full, it'll unlatch from the breast.
Mm-hmm.
So when the child already has a capability to do that, why do parents think they will forget it the moment you start solids?
Mm-hmm.
They still have that capability, no? So allow them to utilize that capability for solid foods. It's very simple. But when it comes to solid food, suddenly parents' ego starts taking over. They don't know. I will decide how much you should eat. I will decide, when you need to stop. When that comes in, then the child gets confused. Because till now, I was using my own instincts to guide me. Now you are taking the decision. And I am supposed to make you happy. Then what will happen? Gradual disassociation with the body happens. So let's say today we are teaching no is a no, or have healthy boundaries, consent, all these concepts. And from 6 months onwards, the child is being made to eat, not for its hunger cues, but because a parent has certain, rules and or conditions. Because of that, the child is made to eat. And the child has been saying no several times. Let's say after 4 tablespoons and the child's tummy is full, the child is telling, no, I don't want. The parent is like, no, you can eat 3 more spoons. I know your stomach is not full. Let's look at your stomach. No, it's not bulging out. You should eat a little bit more. Let's say you're finishing what's there on the plate. Continuously, this is happening 4 to 5 times a day, no? From 6 months onwards, let's say for 1 year or 2 years, 3 years, until the child is school going age, preschool going age, 4 years, 4.5 years, or 5 years, if this is continuing, and suddenly at age 5, when you tell the child, if you feel like telling no, you need to tell no, okay, it's very important to prevent sexual abuse. What do they even mean? The child will get completely confused because I've been telling no in many, many ways all this while and nobody listened to me.
So
Suddenly
the power
from
of my no is not there.
Suddenly from where will I bring that capability to say no? So body boundaries education starts from 6 months, I would say.
So this starts with food, you mean?
Totally. Very simple way to teach consent and boundaries and body autonomy is through meal times. You are the boss of your body. You decide how much to eat. You decide when to stop. Amma totally trusts you. And the child eats, it's having fun during eating. Let's say it's having fun and the mother's face is very neutral. Or it's also happy. Or the mother is also busy eating. Nobody is stressed there. Then the child will eat whatever it needs to eat, no?
And with sugar cravings?
Same thing, when we prepare foods itself, what are we preparing at home? Are we preparing foods with sweetening the food, or are we giving more of savory options? Because a lot of people think jaggery is healthy.
Nice,
and instead of sugar, they give jaggery or honey or whatever. It's again, the taste that the child is getting is sweet taste, no? Forget about a little bit of minerals that are there in the jaggery maybe. But it's not going to do a good in the long run. If we can give them a wide variety of foods, which is a mix of everything,
appreciate, yes.
Then a little bit of sweetness in between is all good. Yeah.
I think coming to that point, what you said, when you, in the end, what you're trying to say, if I'm rephrasing it correctly, it is like you are telling the child to be responsible for your own request for the food and saying no to the food.
There is a small rule: what to eat, when to eat, where to eat, the parent can decide. How to eat and how much to eat, the child can decide. It's a very common statement that is...
Can you repeat that again? It's
what, when, where, let the parent decide. How and how much or whether to eat, the child can decide.
Okay.
Yeah. But if there's enough autonomy at home, no, they will develop that autonomy over a period of time. The beginning, we'll have to nudge them a little. Come now, let's eat breakfast. Oh, what is for breakfast? Is idli. Amma, I don't like idli. Baby, idli is today's breakfast. There is a fruit also at the end if you want to eat. There's bananas also kept on the table. But can we all eat as a family? Come. Join us. So if that sort of a stress-free vibe is there itself, a lot of children, maybe not on day 1, but at least on day 3, they will try something. Again, another issue that I see in families is making only whatever the child likes. Again, you are restricting on the variety, no? Tomorrow, the same parent will keep cribbing about, my child is not eating anything. So whatever is there as a family food for that particular day, let it be the child's food also. I mean, when did we start making child-oriented food and all? At one point of time in our families, we had 10 kids, 12 kids out How many mothers had the time to puree food and mash food and go behind the child and all? They'll not have time for it. No. Children, whenever they are ready to eat, they'll just go grab something from their older brother's plate and they'll eat. That's when the parent would even probably know that the child is ready to eat. So I think baby-led weaning is not a modern concept. It's a very age-old concept with a new name. And if parents can read a little bit about it, I think mealtime struggles can be avoided.
Baby-led
weaning.
Baby-led weaning.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, my grandmother, she gave birth to 13 kids. So at that time, there was no such concept of puree things and giving it like that. So, I mean, our evolution had a lot of ways, but now I think we are coming up with a lot of new concepts and we need to understand what is working, what is not.
Yeah.
And also, in Ayurveda, we say the state of health, we call it swastha. It means, swa and sta. Swa means my purest self, and sta means to be connected. So when a child is born and the child is given the autonomy to choose to what extent the food can be consumed, and when the child says no, it's a no. Somewhere you are giving the power to that child that, yes, I do have control over myself. And I think if you look at most of the health problems, trauma or burnout or some nervous dysregulated issues, somewhere they this concept of learned helplessness. And I think when I'm talking to you, I'm just connecting from there. This could have started. It could be learning to eat healthy and knowing that people, when you say no, people will respect that no.
No, yes, definitely. It goes a long way. Same thing only we bring to sexuality health education also. In sex ed, when we talk about consent, boundaries, body autonomy, safety, the same principles that we talk about. Message is coming from within your body, whether you like something or don't like something. It can be a food, it can be somebody's touch, it can be somebody's approach, the way they are approaching you. And if you don't like it, you can stay away from it. But my brain is not used to that because of all this force feeding and distraction feeding, etc. Then how will I bring that same skill into something else? And let's say we are also teaching children that all elders mean good for you. Everybody is a nice person. If Amma loves somebody, then you also should by default love them. Or if somebody comes home, you have to sit on their lap, or you have to perform a dance or for them, or sing for them, whatever. So there also the child's boundaries are only in question. Do they really want to do it? Are they comfortable? Are they uncomfortable? Are they able to verbalize whether they are uncomfortable? And if they are verbalizing, are we okay with that? So that's where we bring the consent, safety, boundary education also. Same thing.
I think what we are discussing, it's not just for kids. I think it's for adults too. Now let's understand boundaries. How do you educate and bring awareness about how to set boundaries? And first thing, the parent also should know how to keep the boundaries with the child, and how the child should also learn about boundaries. So how do you bring awareness about boundaries to a child?
Okay, boundaries mean your limits and limitations. You understanding your limits and limitations is your personal boundaries. And boundaries does not mean it's a brick wall. It, according to me, is a semi-permeable membrane. You allow certain things to come in, you allow certain things to go out. But you need to know what you need to allow and what you should not allow. Unfortunately, today's young parents are raised by people who didn't know all this. So we ourselves are struggling to say no, to establish simple rules, don't call me by that name, or don't interrupt me when I'm talking, or I will not be able to come there today. Simple things we are not able to say. And now we need to raise a whole human being with all these capabilities and skills intact, wherein I myself am so broken. So to parents, something that I regularly tell them is, you are reparenting yourself also in this journey.
As you parent your child.
Absolutely, because there is that hurt inner child sitting inside you, which didn't get any of these things. It was probably forced to eat. It was probably scared of food. Its own connect with food might be so unhealthy. So you need to look into your own connection with food also. And when your child is throwing a tantrum, it's going to irritate you, it's going to trigger you, because your tantrums were not respected. You were not treated well. Nobody would have apologized to you. So when your child is asking you sorry, it will trigger you a lot, because nobody gave you that apology when you deserved to get an apology. So a lot of things that the child does on a regular basis, on a day-to-day basis, will keep on triggering you.
Hmm.
You will have to do your shadow work, your inner child work, and a lot of healing during your parenting journey.
Hmm.
A beautiful spiritual experience to go through, I would say. Now, coming back to the question, boundaries is a concept that we are currently talking about a lot because of sexual abuse related issues that are prevalent in our country. Thankfully, that conversation has started, consent and boundaries. But as I told you, it all starts very, very early.
Mhm.
Again, you can establish boundary only when you know what your body is trying to tell you.
Hmm.
So we have a cognitive intelligence, a brain related intelligence that is asking us to do certain things. We have a somatic intelligence that is asking us to do certain things.
Mhm.
So try to understand what that somatics is telling you, what that body's intelligence is telling you.
Mhm.
When you're very clear about those signals that we usually call gut instinct or intuition and inner voice, when you're sure of that voice, you will know if something is okay for you or not, or somebody is okay for you or not, or whether job is okay for you or not, whether a certain set of friends are okay for you or not. You will know in each and every situation whether it is okay for you or not when you listen to that bodily signals,
Mhm.
because your body is always communicating. Body never lies.
Hmm.
The brain can lie. Brain can give you all sort of messed up information because subconscious programming would have happened in a different way. A lot of limiting beliefs would have gone into the brain, but body has only one truth. Body will always say the right thing. So if you can listen, tap into the body and listen what the body is trying to tell us, then boundary setting is very, I won't say easy, it's possible.
Hmm.
um, and then when we deep dive into the subject, we also know that there are personal boundaries, physical boundaries, sexual boundaries, body boundaries, financial boundaries, relationship boundaries, communication boundaries, emotional boundaries, energy boundaries. So, yeah, if you deep dive, then it's a vast topic. But in the simplest of simplest ways to explain, it is what your body is trying to tell you from deep within, whether something or somebody or some situation is okay or not okay for you.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And sometimes, let's say a child did not learn it.
Mhm.
Now, how to make them aware of it?
Yeah, I had recently, I think a couple of years back, made a reel or something on this. So, what happened? We were outside at an airport or something. I was waiting for my husband to come, me and my daughter, and one person was staring at me. So staring is a very universal scenario in our country. Usually people stare. So this guy was staring for some time, and I first thought he would be an Instagram follower, and I looked at him and I smiled. And he didn't smile; he was continuing to creepily stare. And then I looked away, and my daughter also observed this, and she was like, "What? I said, "No, that guy is staring at me." And she also looked. I was like, "Don't look, don't look." But then meanwhile she looked, and she was like, "Yeah, ma, he's staring." And then I was like, "Okay, let's look the other way. Yeah, let's not even engage with this person." And she was like, "Okay." And then for a split second, I thought, "Okay, what am I teaching her?"
Hmm.
Because I've never responded to anybody who stared. I've been stared at in buses, trains, so many places. But then I was like, I need to respond.
Mhm.
And it is so difficult to respond. But I just gathered my courage and I looked at him and I asked him, "What, do you know me?"
Hmm.
And he said, "No." And he looked away. That was the end of it. My daughter started laughing.
Hmm.
So, teaching boundaries to children is basically you having boundaries. That's
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
So, if you have boundaries, if you are demonstrating boundary setting at several situations in life, they will just watch and learn. And even then, it is difficult for them to set
Hmm.
boundaries. So, me with my daughter, we have been talking about boundaries from age 5, 6 onwards. But she's close to 10. But it's just last year that she actually established a clear boundary with one of her classmates.
Hmm.
Because, they keep telling us, no, apartment friends or other friends' children, when somebody crosses boundaries, or even in school, she keeps telling this. Child is doing this, amma. This child is constantly coming and just, pinching me or pinching my cheeks, and she keeps telling these things. But even though she knows theoretically what is boundary setting, even though we talk about it, even though I've told her a million times it's okay to set your boundaries, she has also seen so many times her amma setting boundaries, but it took a long time for her to finally bring it out of her mouth to, "Don't do it to me.
Hmm.
I don't like it." So they need a lot of nudging, a lot of constant validation.
Reinforcement.
Do it. It's okay. It's okay. No, ma, what will she think, ma? She's still my friend only, no, ma. Yeah, baby, but friends don't do it, no. Friends means they also understand your boundaries, right? Yeah, actually, yeah. Do you think my friend will do it to me? I'll probably name a certain best friend and yeah, she won't do it to you. See? So friendship means respecting each other's boundaries. This, that. I will keep on telling, but still, it'll take a long time for the child to establish for themselves.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I think the first or second initiative, and once it becomes successful, then it gets easy for them.
Yes. I hope so. I really hope so. But I don't know. She's a very introverted child.
Hmm.
So it's very difficult for her to bring that energy out to, properly tell something. I hope she will be able to. But until she's able to, I will stand by her. That is
Hmm.
my role as a parent. I believe that.
Any experiences for helping children who gets bullied?
My own daughter was bullied.
And then how do you help and help them
Same,
equip? What tools do
same
you equip
thing,
them?
same thing. Boundary setting only. So first, what happened, because the child that was bullying was in our same apartment complex. Um, we can talk to the child also, because he's literally, we are seeing it happening right in front of our eyes. So I've told the child, please don't do it. All these children are getting really distressed. That conversation has happened. The children themselves, they have told the child, please don't do it to us. Still, the child continued to bully. It's a girl, by the way. And something or the other just kept on happening. One day, my daughter will come home crying at 6 p.m., telling this girl told all of us that, we are not worthy to play this particular game. And, she was including other children in the group and we couldn't play that game, blah, 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 something. I'm like, baby, tell it very clearly, you can't bully us like this. This is unfair. We are all part of the same group only, or you can tell her that, okay, you go play with the other group. We will play separately. And you, three, four of these girls that are being bullied, you girls play separately. I will just give her suggestions after her crying episode. And it kept on happening for close to 2 years. And then at one point, she and her two, three other friends, they all decided not to play with this girl.
Hmm.
So over a period of time only they learned, because I keep telling the other girls also, because when they sit together and cry and crib and complain about this other
Mhm.
person, I'm like, girls, all of you go tell
Hmm.
if something is not on. But still, auntie, still she's our friend only,
Hmm.
and kids, they don't, I mean, adults ourselves, we are tolerating so many evil people around us. But
Yes.
so it's fair that children also can't isolate them very soon. But so many experiences, one after the other, one after the other, when it kept on happening, they themselves couldn't tolerate it after a point of time, and they just, because the conversations of boundaries and all these things were happening parallelly
Hmm.
for her. So you can tell, not a problem, not a problem. Even actually, she also experienced me not getting close to a certain person in my life
Hmm.
after a certain incident. So I think those kind of things help her also learn, no, okay, this person had a problem with Amma didn't go smiling again back to this person. Which we do
Mhm.
for a lot of, even
Yeah.
if we hold grudges to people, we just go smiling to weddings and functions and parties as though nothing has happened. This
Yeah,
is
like
what
many
children are seeing.
politicians do.
Huh? This is what children are seeing, no? So when they see something else, they will do something else.
Hmm.
If you do the same old thing, they will keep doing the same old thing. That's what I believe.
Hmm.
So anything, everything, I ask myself, what am I showing her? Have I showed her something? Have I had a conversation about it? Am I even giving her enough time to
Mhm.
bring about that behavioral change? Because I can't expect immediate change and all. So my job is to stay patient until she learns.
Hmm. In this journey for you, Swati, like you said, as a parent, you're also reparenting yourself. What did you learn so far? That, oh, I didn't know this about myself.
I didn't know anything about myself, Vignesh.
Hmm.
I am a brand new person, I would say.
Hmm.
And my ego is shattered to bits.
Hmm.
My child is, for me, my greatest spiritual teacher at home.
Hmm.
I don't need any books or any gurus. I just have to observe her. She will shatter my ego and tell me, you're wrong.
Hmm.
You need to correct yourself. So for me, it has been unlearning to the core. And my inner child is very happy because I'm taking care of her also very well. So I'm actually parenting two children. Uh, it it has been the greatest, I'm not exaggerating, the greatest spiritual transformation of my life.
Hmm.
Again, it is possible only because I'm mindful every single day what is happening. Because I'm able to see everything as a learning. Okay, what is this trying to teach me? What is that trying to teach me? What is she trying to teach me? What is he trying to teach me? So every single thing, then you start taking it as a learning.
Hmm.
Because the child is anyway teaching you a lot of things. So even when a situation happens in your life that has nothing to do with the child, there also you sit and wonder, what is this teaching me?
Hmm.
What can I learn from this? So it's a constant evolution that's happening. Yeah.
And as we talked about gentle parenting, this is another thing that I wanted to ask. To what extent can you be a friend to your child?
You cannot be a friend to your child.
This is so. This is a illusion.
You, my daughter only taught me this. You cannot be my friend, Amma. You can be friendly. Yeah, and she taught this when she was barely some 6 years old.
Hmm.
We are not friends. We are not supposed to be friends.
Hmm.
There should be very firm boundaries because otherwise children will not know what to do. Very strict rules, but very gentle way of communicating those rules. That's all a gentle parenting. Gentle parenting doesn't mean lazy parenting. Gentle parenting is where you communicate things gently and respectfully, but there are a lot of rules, a lot of boundaries are set. No is a no in our home,
Hmm.
and she shouldn't violate it. I clearly tell her, baby, you're crossing my boundaries. And she'll be like, sorry, Amma. So that is the kind of conversation that happens. So there is a lot of yelling and a little bit of firmness and all is there. But things are not taken to a level where it is traumatizing to the child.
Hmm.
It is shameful, or it is shaming the child. So that level it doesn't go. Otherwise, there are firm boundaries. So I cannot be her friend no matter what I do. I don't aim to do that also. But I'm a friendly parent. She can approach me, she can talk anything, whatever she wants to me. I will never judge her. So there's a safe space at home.
Hmm.
So you can create that safe space and be very friendly to your child. Yeah, that's all we can do.
And how do you raise awareness on integrity in a child? Sometimes children. So I have parents who come with their children for allergic conditions.
Mhm.
So I've had a mother coming and telling, I don't know, my son keeps lying to me.
Mhm.
And he says that he is doing his homework and he's studying, but he's not. He must be doing something. This was uh, I think almost a decade ago. This was one of my experiences. So at that time, I intuitively asked the mother. I sent the child out and I asked the mother, if he's lying to you, are you making it difficult for him to tell the truth to you?
Mm.
Okay, this was a. But sometimes
Mhm.
the mother is very strict, and
Mm.
the child is not able to focus on the, or maybe he's not interested in what he's doing. But the question is, as someone, uh, as a parent from yourself, how do you bring the awareness of to have an integrity, to tell the truth? Because sometimes the child is conflicted. If I tell the truth, my mother is going to be upset. She will not talk to me, and I'm going to be deprived of love. On the other hand, if I lie, there's going to be harmony. And this is where he or she learns, let's keep the harmony first, and I am ready to sacrifice my integrity for that. Now, this is a common thing when you see this is how it starts and this grows.
Mm.
So, where do we educate the child? So, would you say if the mothers are very strict, or mother or father or parent or the authoritarian figure in that child's, if they are very strict and if the child wants to do something else which the authority is telling, I mean, that is where the tendency of lying starts. Or somewhere, no, in spite, I still want to do it and I'm not going to break my integrity. So, how do you develop that integrity muscle?
Vignesh, any value system for that matter, it is developed over a period of time, I feel. And about lying, especially, what I believe is at a certain point in the child's development, lying is part of the child's development.
Hmm.
It's a specific milestone every child has to cross.
Hmm.
If it's not crossed, there's something wrong with the child, I would say.
Hmm.
So every child will lie. They're testing your limits. They're testing their own limits. They're testing if the parent will find out.
Hmm.
They're testing what will happen. So during those early lying episodes, how have you dealt with it?
Hmm.
Have you sat with the child? Have you had a neat conversation where you didn't judge them, didn't shame them? You were okay with those little lies that they told. Did you laugh it off and did you make it as a lesson for all of you? If you dealt with it in a good way and you're still doing a lot of things in the family to uphold certain value systems, then I don't think over a period of time they will continue lying.
Hmm.
They will stop at a point, and they will know, okay, there is, beyond all these things, there is a truth inside me, and I have to live according to that truth. And again, little things that the parents do.
Hmm.
Let's say you're taking a friend's phone and you're supposed to be there at 11. You are still not ready at 10:45. You take the phone and you're like, hey, I'm on the way.
Hmm.
And you are there groggy, not even brushed your teeth. You are sitting at home in your pajamas and you're telling your friend I'm getting there. That lie is a lie. So children are watching hundreds, if not thousands of scenarios at home where they see adults lying.
Hmm.
So after all this, how will they feel it's a bad thing to do?
Hmm.
According to them, adults are great set of people, no, who know what they're doing. So how much are we willing to have these sensitive conversations at home? I think it depends on that.
Hmm.
If you're able to have those conversations telling, okay, baby, I know that you lied, I know. See, these things keep happening. Let's say, for example, the child breaks something and they're hiding it somewhere,
Hmm.
and you're asking, where is that toy? I don't know, where is it? It's in your cupboard only, I know very well. It's nowhere else. I searched everywhere. Could you please tell me where is it? I don't know, ma. No, please tell me. I won't tell anything. We can try to fix it. We can try to glue it together. Um, I don't know. It may be in my room. And then when you go search the cupboard and you're finding it, what are you doing at that instant? Are you reacting or are you responding? Based on that, the child will know whether next time I should lie or I should reveal, or I can straight away tell the truth. What kind of consequence will be there?
Hmm.
Is the consequence a life threatening consequence or a very simple consequence? Again, we can give simple consequences. No, because you lied, let's not buy these kind of toys anymore, or
Hmm.
simple things, wherein there is no huge consequence.
Hmm.
And they're like, but still it's a consequence. So again, I told those firm boundaries that you can set. Please don't lie. Amma is okay with it. Just openly come and tell me. We'll figure it out. We'll solve it. No, again, what you told from your experience is the child scared of the parent,
Hmm.
because that is a whole different ball game where 100% there is authoritarian parenting happening, and the child is feeling scared. So they are scared. They won't reveal their true self anyway. No.
Hmm.
But on the other hand, if, as we told, if the parent is friendly and there is a safe space and the child is not feeling threatened, then 100% they will share.
Hmm.
That's what I believe.
So I think the parents need to give that safe space.
Yeah.
That is where the idea is.
Yeah, again, it depends on how their lies were handled
Hmm.
in childhood. If they were hit and thrashed for everything, then that'll come naturally to them.
Hmm.
So it's a lot of unlearning. Okay, this is how my lies were dealt with, my childhood. I need to do something different to break the pattern, to break that cycle. So only then the parent will be able to do something different.
Now, Swati, now when it comes to bringing awareness on children about their, what is safe touch, what is unsafe touch, is somebody having any, untoward intentions. So how do you bring that awareness in a children?
Yeah, as you rightly pointed out, it's no longer good touch, bad touch. It is safe and unsafe touch or behavior. And it also goes back to the concept of boundaries that we spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
Is the child aware of its bodily signals?
Hmm.
And if it is if it is aware of bodily signals, and if the child is also in an environment where they can talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and there is no judgment at home, then I believe before getting into red flags, the child will identify predators at yellow and orange flags.
Hmm.
They'll not take it as far as being touched on the genitals. That's what I believe. Right from the moment they are being lured into their comfort zone, they are uh, being made to do something that they are not really okay with. Let's say, why don't you come and sit on my lap? And the child is like, no, uncle or auntie, I'm not interested. And the person is like, no, you have to come. That extra sentence will make them aware. This is not okay, because at home everybody follows,
Respects my
everybody
boundaries.
respects my boundaries. They don't push me beyond a point or anything. Then why is this person doing it?
Hmm.
Or every time this person comes, they're having a different kind of smile, they're having a different kind of approach, they're coming and sitting very close to me. Those little things happen in every person's life before they are abused. If when I talk to child abuse survivors as adults, they always tell me about these little grooming practices that used to happen.
They're preparing themselves
I
and
used to
testing
take
waters.
I used to be taken to the shop with this uncle on his bike to get candies, and I was asked to not talk about it with family members. So when we already establish a value system in the family that there are no secrets in our family, we do not keep secrets from each other, or secrets will not keep you safe. When those kind of statements are spoken about, and when this person is asking you to keep a secret, then there is something, no? Child will understand. So I believe even a weird way of looking, staring, sitting next to them, pushing them beyond a point, trying to grab their attention in unhealthy manner, all these things a child will observe. Um, Once I had written a post where I had mentioned it's very easy to prevent child sexual abuse. You just have to fill the child's environment with a lot of flowers and perfumes. By which, what I meant was, you first behave in a healthy manner with the child. We as parents, let us not force our children to do things that they are not comfortable with, etc. And if their environment is filled with flowers and perfumes, when a stinky object enters into that environment, the child is able to identify that stinky object very clearly. Whereas if the environment itself is filled with garbage, then one extra stinky object will not make a difference to the child. So it's about the environment that the child is in. That's what I believe, and if there is an environment to share. So even if there is some sort of grooming activity that is happening, because 100% we cannot prevent everything, even if in school, somebody, a teacher or a sports coach or somebody, if they make the child feel uncomfortable and the child has an environment or a safe space at home to come and talk about it, then I think we can prevent things from going to that red flag area. We can, catch it when it is in that yellow, orange zone itself. Yeah.
I think it's about making them aware of their alert systems,
Yeah.
how aware it is.
Yeah. And that's why we spoke about being able to understand what the body is trying to tell them. And it's a big shock to parents when we say that, it starts at 6 months. When you start solids. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a patient with severe psoriasis. And usually, certain patients with psoriasis, they would come and say, I tried many dermatologists, tried many different kind of steroids. And finally, somebody told them, maybe you should try something holistic or some Ayurveda. And they come to, and usually when the patient tells, I tried many dermatologists and nothing works, so now I'm coming to you. So usually as a doctor, when you hear that they have been to multiple doctors, the next question is, am I going to be the next one before they do the further shopping?
Yeah.
So we have to be careful. Why so many doctors were not able to deal with this? So then what happens? So usually when people have psoriasis, one of the questions that we ask is, what are the triggering factors for your psoriasis? Some people will say stress, some people will say different kinds of food or milk, gluten, like various things, or cold climate or certain environment, certain work.
Okay.
So usually after one or two consultations and follow-up, you establish the trust, and the patient is following up with your guidelines. And in the third session, I remember I asked her, now, you went to so many doctors and you tried so many diets, you tried many other holistic therapies as well. Now, do you expect me to do some great magic? This is what's the question I asked her. Well, I don't know. I'm trying my best. Who can help me? Sometimes we ask, certain times, the disease that you're having, somewhere it is also helping you. You are happy with that disease. This is just a concept. So, I hated Hindi exams. So I had a great ability to create fever on that day so that I don't have to go to Hindi exams. Same way, sometimes certain things. So I asked her, what exactly, is there something that, you've been hiding from yourself or something happened? And then she cried for a few minutes, and then she told me, when I was a kid, her uncle used to physically, sexually abuse her. And then she didn't know what it was and went and complained or shared this with her mother. And her mother didn't know what to do because she was worried, if her husband, the child's father, came to know about this,
Mm.
it could go on to an extent of a big violence in the home.
Okay.
And she didn't know what to do. And I think she told her, you please keep your mouth shut, and maybe told her, don't talk about it. And nothing too serious about it.
Mm. Mm.
And I think from then onwards, I think it went on few times as well. And then, when I asked her, what are your triggering points for your psoriasis? She said, whenever my partner is getting intimate, that is when the psoriasis flares up the most.
Right.
So when you connect back, it was like the body's coping mechanism to protect. And psoriasis, like, it's a very, it's not an easy disease to have.
Yeah.
And she has to cover her entire self. Even when she's cutting vegetables, she needs to wear gloves. Now she can't touch water. It was that bad.
Okay.
So when you look back, when we are not able to express our feelings, the body has different ways of creating diseases to protect yourself. This is just one way. Why I'm talking about this, if we can educate parents on healthy, conscious parenting and giving them a free space to communicate, I think a lot of so-called autoimmune diseases, allergies can be reversed at a very young age. You're setting up the foundation for a healthy, fertile soil.
Yeah, true.
And I think that flowers and perfume was a fantastic analogy. I think this will help a lot of people to understand.
I hope so.
I think that safety net is so important. The moment you see some, I think I was listening to an interview. There was this special operations commando. So he was posted in one of the terrorist movement in Sri Lanka. So he said, because he used to fight in the forest.
Okay.
So he said, so he had some new recruits coming as a part of his reinforcement. And one person brought a lot of coconut oil. And he said, if you ever use that, be prepared to die. And he said, what do you mean? Because the moment you put coconut oil, the enemies are so sensitive to the smell that they can immediately catch you, even if it is far away. That's the alertness that they have. So the idea is, when you give them such a safe space, the moment they see there is an intention behind that, they're able to alert that.
Yeah.
And I think this alertness, it comes with a lot of understanding from the parenting itself, I guess.
Yes.
Now, listening to this, I think many parents will be thinking, oh, I wish I was also parented like that. And then, okay, at least I didn't get it, but I will do it for my children.
Yeah.
And I also seen many parents or teachers especially, when they say, if I got what you're getting, I would be in a much better place. Are you aware of this?
Yeah.
And I don't know what to tell them.
There are some cultural statements in our country,
What to tell them?
Yeah, you would have become a better person. True. I'm very sad that you didn't get that kind of a scenario, but I hear you, I empathize with you, and I really hope you are able to give that kind of an environment to yourself now. Now that you are an adult, you can always take responsibility for your life and change your life. You don't have to always be in that victim standpoint. Like just yesterday, I was hearing something from whose interview? Marissa Peer. And she was talking about how in a bow and an arrow, the bow is a childhood trauma. The bow is a sexual abuse. The bow is what happened in our past. And that will always be there. What matters is where the arrow is going or how far the arrow can go. Nobody will bother about the bow. So at one point, you need to take ownership for your life. Yes, so many things happened in my life which traumatized me, which got me to therapy, which got me a lot of diseases, autoimmune condition, cancers, whatever it is. But I will take ownership for my life and I'm going to change things around. So whenever I feel, if you can get that main character energy, you should be the main character of your life. You can't be the hero's brother or the heroine's best friend or the comedian in the movie for a long time. You have to be the main character at some point.
I think taking responsibility is the ultimate part of all conversations when it comes to healing and trauma recovery, all of that. And I think this was in a book by Dr. Bernie Siegel. He talks about, he did a research on people who outlived after their cancer diagnosis. So they were diagnosed with cancer, and the doctors gave them an ultimatum, like maybe 6 months, prepare your will and things like that. and he was trying to find out people who were given that ultimatum, and in spite of that, they survived and they thrived. So, what was common between them? Did they change their diet, or is it their genetics, or was the severity of cancer lesser for them? So, he couldn't find much common things, but what he found out, one thing that was common with people who outlived, and that was they took complete ownership.
Right.
They took complete responsibility. They stopped being a victim. They stopped saying he was responsible, that chemical that I hate and that thing was bad.
Okay.
So when you take responsibility, I think what happens is you get better at your boundaries.
Yeah.
And you get better at listening to yourself. I think that's what happens when you take that complete ownership. Now I am responsible, so that means I have to be alert with my inner guidance. I think that's what we are training to the child.
Yeah.
And as you said before that, we have to do it to ourselves.
Yes, yeah. We have to be an autonomous person. We have to have boundaries. We should know what is, reparenting. What is the whole purpose behind parenting? So yeah, I think parenting is you becoming a better person. That's all. It's not you doing something to another person, but you being a better person in that process.
Like there's a saying, it's a child who gives the birth to the mother. It's a child who gives that title that somebody's a mother or a father.
My husband also has changed a lot, okay? Just because I'm saying I have changed doesn't mean...
of course, it's a...
Yeah, he's also a brand new person now. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Swati. It was really a wonderful, enlightening conversation with you.
Thank you so much for inviting me.